The second day off I have in my week is supposed to be designated for housekeeping, things like laundry if I have to do it, sweep, mop, clean the bathroom, stuff like that. But I told myself, with how demanding the week has been, and how you guys have seen that it's been so bad that I have had to miss my daily making of and uploading of videos, I'm like, I'll do what I can. It's one of those things that I can say I have evolved from, whereas before I used to really stick to my routine and nothing could disrupt it. All that did for me was overwhelm me, burn me out, and now I'm just happy that I can, first of all, acknowledge that the time constraints are there and how it's all piling up and stuff, but it didn't stress me out. It didn't depress me like it used to. And I just like to take a moment to acknowledge that and be like, I see the change. I see the evolution. I see how I have become more confident with my own management style. And above all, being comfortable giving myself credit. Because sometimes I feel like in the past, when I get really excited about something going on with my life, but I'm sharing it with the wrong audience, I get really discouraged. And by wrong audience, I mean, you guys ever meet somebody who talks about other people, or maybe they tell you that you're only focused on yourself, that you're selfish, that you're even potentially narcissistic, even though you don't behave like one or do or say things like one. You're not manipulative, you're not trying to keep others from being successful, whatever it is. You just feel like you're a misunderstood character. Well, that happened to me for some time. And you guys know that this channel, of course, is the closest thing to me being my own, I guess, the main character in my life that I'll ever be. And the reason I say that is because usually in the presence of others, I like to take whatever they're telling me, and if I can relate to it in any way, I will share how I have gone through something similar or what it reminds me of. And I would hope that inherently shows you that I received your message. I understood what you're saying. I just so happen to find it relatable. And when I find something relatable, I will start sharing my own feedback. How did your story make me feel based off my experience? Reading, for instance. When you read books or articles or news, pamphlets, memorandums, whatever it is, do you ever tell yourself that you're aware that the reason you're reading is because you're trying to absorb the theme of whatever you're reading? What is the author's purpose? A memorandum is to inform you. A work of fiction is perhaps to get you to imagine things or escapism. A biography, if you have a focus, like say, I am an astronaut, therefore, I'm in a unique class of people where not everybody can say they have been to space. That makes me kind of unique, even though there's been hundreds of people by now who have made it out to space. But let's say that I decide to write about that. My autobiography in that instance would be sharing my life experiences in space. That would be more of an informative kind of written material. Other instances could be something like political flyers that you get. Those are people trying to get you to vote in a certain manner. Sometimes I feel like in modern days, we kind of become detached from that. Or if we are aware of that type of thing, you may take it to the extreme. And I can say that's something that has happened to me, unfortunately. Mostly in the form of when I say something and again, it may sound like I'm making it about me, but I like to describe it with myself as the POV because you're telling me something and I can see it from your perspective since you're the one telling me. But I would think that you would find it equally beneficial to get that input from someone who does not see it the way that you see it. If you tell me something and I have a different reaction to it, a different perception of it. Why wouldn't you look at that as a weapon? I could be one of your greatest allies right there, because I could be like, I see what you're saying. Perhaps this individual, given their background with whatever it is, may be taking it this way because for them it doesn't work out due to this, that, and the other. At that moment, you could be like, you know what? I failed to realize that. Or, you know what? I thought about it, but I didn't really consider it as much until you took it and added to it. That's what I mean. That's the kind of person I am, the kind of communicator I am. And by that, I'm not trying to just be critical in an effort to bring someone down. If anything, that's the way I know how to elevate people, because I like to be the one who says the things that you may be too afraid to say, but you have considered. And it's just a shame that some people just feel like they can't say that. I went from being that person who kept everything to myself, but the few times I would allow myself to speak, I always received a positive reception. Something like, you have some very deep thoughts. How come we don't hear about you more often or from you more often? And then that's when I discovered ultimately that is where my social power lies and where my management style could come from. By management, I mean the management of my personal life, of course. And that's why I like to share exactly where those sources come from, because there have been times in my life when my inspiration, my influence came from unexpected sources. I think that is the whole point of life, but we may forget about it because sometimes we like to see, let's say that a crime is committed against me. I want to see an individual wearing a uniform, making it right for me and bringing justice to me, something like that. Whereas your helper, your savior could come in the form of, let's say that someone stole my lunch. It could be in the form of someone inviting me to have lunch some other day, making up for it. It's one of those things. That's why I don't believe in social labels. I don't believe in, I guess, the people who rely on that for meaning. I do respect you if you have a degree. I do respect you if you have a position, like say you're a professor, you're a policeman, something like that. But I only take issues with that when you try to use that to persuade me into something or try to manipulate me into behaving a certain way, and like that grants you some kind of entitlement. I like to credit the fact that you put the effort into specializing in your craft. I will never disrespect you for that. But from there, to try to intrude into my life and present yourself like you're just better than me, that's when I have issues. So yeah, you guys, I decided I wanted to take the time to ramble about this because it's one of those things that with the passage of time, you begin to see how things connect and how some things have disconnected and how some disconnects have had positive effects. Some connections may not be as good for you as you think, and how you need to let them go. And I just really like to reflect on that and just look at it as I got through what I considered were the darker times of my life, and now I can say that I'm in a better season. Even though a lot of the issues persist, mentally, I can say that I'm not handicapped by it. I haven't cried myself to sleep in months, whereas I remember a time when I used to cry pretty much every day. If I was like PMSing, that was a whole different story. It was even worse. I remember being mentally and emotionally handicapped, but now I'm at a point where I can live perfectly balanced with those things going on, and I don't feel that way. And because I don't feel that way, my productivity has increased, my feelings of shame and guilt have left me, and now I'm just an overall more confident person, and I can be involved in things where I understand and can accept why I am selected to participate in certain things when nobody else is, or rather, when somebody else could have been, but it wasn't. that type of thing. I'm being vague for a reason because it's possible that I'm going to share exactly what happened that made me say these things, but I need to figure out if it's proper first. That's it from me on this mini rambling, trying to get myself rooted again into rambling and making videos, because when you're away for a day or two, it's not that, oh my god, I'm struggling to speak or say things. It's more of what got me here, and have I made any observations that are giving a new perspective on something. Like, I just remember a time when I used to be that overachiever where if I have to go to bed at 3 a.m. in the name of getting everything done like I'm used to, I used to be that clown. But I'm not that clown anymore. And how is it going for me breaking away from what I thought was essential? That's the point. Okay, bye.